Okay, here we are. Game 7, week 6. I'm with head coach Philip Shadowens. Talk to me about what you've been doing since station camp.
Obviously playing a good football team this week in Siegel High School, so spent a lot of time preparing for Siegel, and our kids have had what's probably the best week of practice we've had since the season started. And I think the kids understand that this is a real challenge, and you know, Siegel is going to run the football at you. We're a physical team, have the capabilities of throwing the ball, some really good receivers too. So they know it's a challenge. Our kids understand that, and our kids have worked really hard this week preparing for them.
Great, great. Last week we saw Tyreek Collier do a lot on the field, and I was speaking with somebody else, and they kind of clued me on a couple of things. And some quarterbacks have to throw in order to run, and then some have to run in order to throw. Where do you kind of position Tyreek in that situation?
Whatever the game calls for, really. I have confidence, and he has confidence in both those things. And you know, he's been known as a running quarterback, and in the past, and people really loaded the box against him, and all that kind of stuff. But what I've found with Tyreek is that he's a very good thrower also, and sometimes you like to get his legs involved early, but that's not necessarily the plan. You know, out of the 6 games we've started, I think 3 of them have been passes for the first play of the game. But he can do both very well, and I think he's getting more and more confident in his throw game, and he's always had a lot of confidence in running the football. But we have some really dangerous receivers. Our offensive line's done a great job of protecting, and so whatever the defense allows, or whatever the defense tries, if they try to shut down our run game, we certainly have a lot of confidence in our throw game.
You talked about something I really do want to talk about, and that's the guys that don't get much credit. That's the O-line and D-line. Let's talk about those guys, since those guys are out there every Friday night and through the week, and not much press on them, but they are such an intricate part of the team and a part of your force and what you're trying to develop.
Well, sure. I mean, when it comes right down to it, winning and losing is a front thing. Is it offensive or defensive front? I mean, it comes down to those positions that a lot of times determine if you're going to win or lose. And our offensive line has done a wonderful job. Obviously, our defensive line has done a terrific job based on the number of points we're giving up a game, 3.5 or whatever it is. And then our offensive line, you know, we're averaging 40 points something a game, and that starts with fronts. And so, you know, probably the leader up there. I mean, you know, I hate to say a leader, but David Lee would probably be our left tackle on offense. But you got Dakota Corn, which is another senior. You got Justin Perry. You got Matthew Stubbs that plays center for us. You got Sergio Gonzalez, which is also another senior that plays guard. You got Blake Davis, who's played a ton. And then you add some more defensive front people to that. You know, LJ's a fullback on offense as a defensive end. DeJuan Brown's a tight end and defensive end. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, you know, of kids that contribute up there. And that's the thing that our coaches have done a good job of, is we rotate quite a bit up front. And I think it's very important that we need the trenches, especially the defensive trenches, when the same guys are playing offensive line, they play defensive line in many cases, is that you rotate people in and out. And our coaches have done a good job of rotating 6 defensive linemen in those 2 positions. We've played 4, sometimes 5 defensive ends on a Friday night. And so it keeps people fresh. And there's not really too much of a drop-off, you know, with those top guys there. So as long as we're able to do that and keep people somewhat fresh, I think we'll continue to be a really good front. What
will David Watson like to do tomorrow night? I mean, in his squad, I mean, what are some of the things that they get into a rhythm? They could be dangerous. I mean, you did mention the receivers and stuff like that, but more specifically, I mean, what kind of offense and defense will we see out of the Siegel Stars, and just what do they, if they get in a rhythm, what do they really like to do? I know you've studied tons of film.
Right, they do multiple things, and you know, I think David, who don't play, he's just coaches, but I think David, you know, would tell you he likes to run the ball first. That's, you know, he's an offensive line guy, and offensive line guys want to run the football.
Right.
But his offense is very good at both. You know, sometimes they get double tights and run it right down your throat, but they can go one-back stuff and run and play action and sprint and throw screens, and it's just a multitude of things that they can do. They line up in many of the same formations offensively that we do. And very talented with Scruggs at fullback, with House at tailback, with Gooch outside, as well as many other receivers that can catch the football. You know, everybody knows Gooch is a great player, and he hadn't had great stats this year yet, but he's waiting on a breakout game, and we certainly don't want it to happen tomorrow night. So so they're dangerous at so many positions, but I think if you ask David what he likes to do the best, it would be, I like to run the football. I mean,
right.
He's an O-line guy. I mean,
right.
all guys that coach O-line want to run it. So, but I look for him to be multiple tomorrow night. I think they're going to try to run it at us. I mean, I think that's what you know, maybe plan one is, but I think at the same time they're going to try to play action us and maybe try to boot a little bit and get outside the pocket a little against us and probably find a way to throw it to Gooch.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Anything else on your mind right now as far as anything keeping you up at night as we get ready to close the show? Is there anything at all? I mean, you know, I guess as the weeks go on, your team is going to continue to try to find out, you know, and you're going to see some situations, well, they haven't been behind. How are they going to respond? Or some of those things, and it's because you don't know. You feel like you know, but then again, when the lights come up, you don't know. And I mean, those are some things that's got to work on you a little bit, but then again, you can't worry about something that's not happened yet. I mean,
it's all about poise, you know, and our kids understand the ups and downs of games. We scrimmage teams and we're behind, and you know, BGA took the opening drive in the scrimmage and drove 80 yards and scored, and we came back and scored 4 in a row. I mean, you know, I don't lose sleep about things like that. I lose sleep about bad practice, which we had last week, and so I didn't sleep very good last Thursday night because we had our worst day of practice, I thought, in the Thursday walkthrough before we played last week in station camp. So this week, as I told the kids in our meeting after practice there, is that I'll sleep good tonight because you just completed the best week of practice we've had since the season started, so, you know, with that, I mean, I think our kids will play well, you know, and we'll find out if well is good enough. But
right.
I think this time of year, what we have to do as coaches, and I've talked about this with our coaches, is that you know, people start talking about being 6-0 and start talking about, you know, points scored, points against, all those things, playoffs, all those, you know, all those things that are really insignificant at this stage, because the only thing that's important is a football game. I mean, you know, Friday night, I mean, as far as when it comes to football, you know, that's the thing that you're waiting for and the thing that you're working for. And it's our job to make sure our kids don't feel any kind of pressure from that. So, you know, that's great being 6-0. It's great with the stats and how they are. But we're just playing football. You know, we're pressure. There's not really pressure in football. I mean, you know, you get those jitters at 7:30, which is what you're supposed to get because you're getting ready to play and compete. And you get that whether you're in the business world or whether you're playing football or whatever, because you're getting ready to compete or put on a presentation, whatever it may be. But you know, as coaches, we have to understand that we have to be relaxed because our kids feed off of us. And in the reality of things, is football is not pressure packed. Football is a game that you play because you enjoy it, you play because you love it, you coach because you love the game, you love kids, and because of that. What is pressure? I mean, pressure is having brain surgery or having open heart surgery or losing a loved one. Pressure is not playing football on Friday night. So the thing I emphasize to our coach is that, you know, we should never feel any pressure because we're playing a game. And I think that gets across to our kids because I don't think our kids, to this point anyway, have felt pressure about, you know, all those things that you mentioned, the ratings and all that kind of stuff. I think they understand that, you know, we're playing a game and we're having fun playing it. And it's great to have some success we've had. And we just work hard every week, and we'll worry about 7:30 tomorrow night when 7:30 gets here. But and I think our kids have had that attitude, and maybe because there's so many seniors. But I've been very pleased with our coaches. I've been very pleased with obviously our players and how they've handled, you know, all the attention you get when you start winning some games, and they've been able to relax and still have fun playing the game. And I think that's what high school football is all about.
There it is. Well, tomorrow night, 7:30, Siegel Stars, they'll be in the Inferno. Coach Shedd, he'll try to turn up the burner a little bit more as we meet objective number 7 as we draw closer toward the end of the season. And as you know, the playoffs will be a big point, and we'll tap into Coach Shedd's mind as we get closer to that. I know he doesn't want to talk about it, but we will get him back in the hot seat, and we will discuss it here just real soon. So stick with us. Be here tomorrow night, 7:30. As David Watson, Siegel Stars come into the Inferno. We'll see you then.